Okay, so Lisa, my wife, tells me that she thinks I spend entirely too much time on Facebook. I don't think so. I don't think 8 hours a day on Facebook is too much, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, a lot of the time I spend on Facebook, I spend in the different groups, and some of them are really interesting, and you can learn a lot of stuff and meet a lot of interesting people. And one of my favorite groups is called Frugal Filmmaker, which I really suggest you take a look at. At any rate, yesterday, the day before, a young woman, she looks like she's still a college student, named Natalie Lyfson, posted an inquiry on the Frugal Filmmaker, and she said, if anybody there is in the production business, I would like to come along and watch how you make films or videos so I can learn something. So I wrote back, because I have this compulsive need to continue to participate in this kind of stuff, and I said, Natalie, you're wasting your time watching other people do it. All you got to do is get out your phone and start making films yourself. That's the miracle of the phone thing. It doesn't cost anything to do it. It used to cost a fortune to make films. You used to have to do budgets and all kinds of stuff and raise money and get DPs and directors. And now all you got to do is pick up the phone and start to make it. But this reminded me of a story which actually was very life-changing and maybe the best piece of advice I ever got in my life. When I was in my 20s, probably Natalie's age, I spent 3 years hitchhiking around the world. It's a good thing to do. I recommend it. So the first year I hitchhiked, I went overland from London to Kathmandu in Nepal. In those days, you could go through places like Iran without going to jail or getting arrested by the American government. At any rate, I stopped in Milan and I bought myself a little Olivetti portable typewriter because I had this idea that I would be a writer one day. I'm still working on that one. And so I dragged the Olivetti portable with me, think of it as the laptop of its era, all the way to Kathmandu. And when I finally got to Kathmandu, I took a room in the Kathmandu guest house on Tamil in the center of town. I think it's still there. And I set myself up with my little typewriter and a glass of wine and probably a chunk of hashish about this big because it was Kathmandu and a little candle. And I thought, now I'm going to be a writer. I finally got all the things I need to be a writer, like the wine and the hashish and the candle in the room in Nepal. And I had read this book called The Snow Leopard by Peter Matheson, a fantastic story about, being in the Himalayas. And here I was in the Himalayas, and it inspired me so much that the very first thing I wrote was like a 10-page letter to Peter Matheson. That's the kind of thing you do when you're in your 20s. And I sat down and I typed out this long letter, my whole life story, and I said, Dear Mr. Matheson, I always wanted to be a writer, and when I read your book, it inspired me to write, and I love it, on and on and on and on. And I mailed it off to Peter Matheson. Well, about 3 weeks later, I got a letter back from Peter Matheson in Kathmandu. He'd sent me back my original letter, and he'd written across the front in big red magic marker, if you want to write, write, but don't write to me, signed Peter Matheson. And that was actually fantastic advice. The way to be a great writer is to start writing, and in the beginning it's going to be absolutely terrible, there's no question about that, but you go on and on and on, and you get better and better and better with practice. Taking courses in how to be a writer to me is a waste of time, and so is the theory of writing, and I feel very much for the theory of film school and people who become film majors and stuff like that. I mean, you need some basics, which is fine. So, Natalie, here's my advice to you. If you want to make film and video, make the film and video. The average American, and Natalie, I assume you're average American, by the time you reach your age, has spent an astonishing 30,000 hours watching television or movies. It's all the same thing today, Netflix or anything else. Well, if you read Outliers, you'll know that Malcolm Gladwell says if you spend 10,000 hours doing anything, you're a world expert. Spend 10,000 hours playing chess and you're a world chess player. Spend 10,000 hours playing tennis and you're a world tennis player. Well, Natalie, you've spent 30,000 hours watching movies and television, therefore you're already 3 times a world expert in how to make films. You know basically what it's supposed to look like. You understand basically how it's supposed to be. Go get your phone and go start making stuff. And yeah, in the beginning it's going to be crap and it'll get better and better and better. And if you want some critiques, send them to me. I'm always happy to look. That's what I'm here for. I got nothing else to do. So get out your phone. If Natalie or everybody else, start making the stuff. Start making bad stuff. You'll get better and better. It's the only way to do it. And that's what the miracle of the phone is. I'll talk to you later.